Okay. What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Josh and Brandy Helm here. And it's another beautiful evening here in Texas.
Taco Tuesday.
It's
I'm
Taco.
just kidding.
It's Talk About Tuesday, and we've already moved locations our
Again.
third time. So obviously we're going to need your feedback on what our stream looks like. Make sure that you guys can hear us well. We're streaming on TikTok tonight. We have not been doing that, but we decided to do that as well tonight because we're talking about cost. So
That's our number one question.
yeah, it's our number one question, and it's constant. Like, people want to know how much money it's going to cost me to build my dream Barndominium home. But tonight we're specifying that it's going to be in reference to the shell only. So we're trying to give some specifics about the shell only tonight. So we're going to, you know how we do it. You guys, it's been hanging out with us a little bit on Tuesday nights. We're going to try to talk to you just a few minutes. And it's not going to be as long. We don't have like an hour an hour worth of stuff that we're going to be just deliberating. But we're going to keep it pretty simple because we want to get into some of y'all's questions. We got folks coming in. So if you will, go ahead and share this video on your feed, whether you're on Facebook or wherever you're at, text your friends, whoever. We're going to be talking about cost. So this is your chance. You can find out critical information. Now, save the questions about distance tonight because I know it's going to get a little crazy, and I don't want you guys. I want to be able to see your questions about cost. And now, just up front, I'm going to tell you our distances so that you don't have to be asking this. But we work 100-mile radius, and that is
for the shell option.
For the shell option, and we do. There is some flexibility there. We're not just like, nope, it's 101 miles, so we're not going any further. Yeah. So you guys, give us the hearts, give us the likes, hit subscribe, ring the bell, all of those things. Do that stuff early on so we can get a good viewership tonight. Like I said, we are excited to bring these lives to y'all, but we want them to be impactful as well to all of our accounts. So we see you all there on all of these accounts on TikTok, Instagram. So
Facebook.
Here's the deal when it comes to distance. So we are going, 100 miles. Some of these are going a little bit further. So there's some flexibility a little bit there, especially for the shell only. Turnkeys, it's going to be harder for us, especially as we're stretching ourselves a little bit to try to get some of these shell onlys done for you guys. The turnkeys, we really need to try to stay around the 60-mile radius. So that's what's going on with that.
And when he's talking about radius, we're talking about Red Oak, Texas. We are 20 miles south of Dallas. We're in between 35, 45, and the 60 miles is from there. The 100 miles is from there. So, we'll go in every direction.
Every direction, and that's what keeps us on the road. And we've got our trucks are just the mileage odometers are just going just nonstop. So it's a lot to keep these trucks out there on the road. But so distance, that's always a big question. And if you will just go to your maps and search for Red Oak, Texas.
Yeah, see how far it is from you and the distance. Like, you have to do like directions, because if you just do like as the crow flies.
Not as the crow flies, because you guys are always like, oh, maybe if I don't tell them an exact address, and y'all know y'all's tricks you're playing out there. So let's keep it on the up and up.
But yeah, just put in Red Oak and see how far that is from you. And if it's within that 100 miles, then we'll definitely handle a shell option, which is what we're talking about tonight.
Yeah. So what we're going to do, because when we're talking about cost, and we're going to give you guys all of the information, but we're going to focus on the shell onlys. So right now, let's just go ahead and give them some information up front. Your overall turnkey starting price is around 175 to $185 living square footage. That's what's going on in the current. Now that doesn't include fireplaces. That don't include a bunch of stuff. But your typical turnkey for living quarters, that's about where it starts out. And we have some extensive videos that talk about what all that's included, even though some of the pricing is old. If you watch some of those old cost videos, and just know that it's 175 instead of $110. So that
Yeah.
changed a few years ago. But $175, kind of a base start out. And we've had a chance to kind of go through a lot of these numbers as well this year to kind of confirm that we're still good on those. Our pricing's actually been pretty close to that for some time, but it's kind of changed a couple of little times along the way. But here we're in our shop tonight. This is we moved over here in hopes that now that we have fiber optic internet, that
We have a better connection.
we have a little bit better connection. So, and so you guys will be the judge of that. But hopefully, we keep the viewers up, and you guys can follow along with us. So, our turnkeys 175. What it ends up being around starting out for shell onlys, and then we're going to tell you guys what that includes, is around $100 per square foot is what it usually accumulates to. And so let's talk about what that $100
It's going to get you.
gets you.
Yeah, because I mean, if someone else prices just a building, so say they call a metal building company and they say, "Hey, I just want a 50 by 50 shell." Well, they're not going to be including all the things that we're including. So you got to compare apples to apples, and we're going to get it to a point where we feel comfortable leaving it as Texas best. We're not going to skip out and not do the zip system, things like that. So we'll go into all the things that are included. So please, if you're trying to price things out, make sure that you're getting comparative pricing on what all's
Also, early
included.
on, while you guys are all not completely bored talking about this stuff, let me tell you, we do have a Barndominium calculator. It's on our website. We have quick links to get to it. I'm going to go ahead and type it in on some of these channels here. But it's linktree.com/Texas Best Construction. Okay. You spell it right. So that link takes you to where our Barndominium calculator is. Brandy's going to put it in over there on Instagram. Now, on Instagram and TikTok, those links are in the bio. So you don't have to worry about writing it down or whatever. If you want to find that link, you can get it later. So the links are in the bio for all of the Barndominium calculators.
You just want me to add it as a comment?
You can put it as a comment.
Okay. Pull it up again. Sorry.
Okay. So I'll also, let me post it here on this other screen. I think I got it on a banner. I can put it up. So there you go. We're getting fancy over here, guys. We got all kinds of technology, but except for good internet, that's been the struggle out here in the country.
Y'all get ready when you build your barndos.
Yeah, when you build a
don't always-
barndominium and you got all of it wrapped with metal, it can be a challenge. So we're thankful we were able to get some fiber optics over here. Okay, so what a shell only includes. Let's go down the list and we're going to talk about what a shell only. Oh, sorry, that says something different.
Oh, great. That's what I posted.
No, that's the right link.
Oh, okay.
It's just no. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brandy. I'm going to work on this.
Okay. So, one thing that's really important to us, being that we're in Texas, the soils that we have here are all kinds of different soils. You got all kind like the clay, you've got kind of a sandy soil. There's just so many different kinds that we always encourage you, which this is not actually included in our price per square foot because it is optional, but we encourage you to get a soil survey. That soil survey, they're going to come in and bore down and they're going to figure out what all is, is made up in your soil. So they're going to tell us, you're going to need piers. They're going to tell us you're going to need to do more, concrete here or whatever. It's going to tell us an exact plan of what they want done
Okay.
for the
I don't want to
foundation.
interrupt here, but okay. So soil survey is important. It is the initial thing. The reason why it's important when we're doing a shell only is because we're doing everything with the same consistency that we would if we're doing a turnkey.
Right.
So that's what we want to emphasize, that all of the same effort, all of the same
You're getting the same quality for
yeah,
the shell
all
as
of,
you are.
all of the same process really involved
Mhm.
early on in the job. It's just we're coming to a stopping point, and we're going to take you up to that tonight and tell you where that stopping point is. So what you're seeing majority wise on a lot of our builds is uh, repetitive. So you've got the soil survey, which the customer, it's not included in price, so that gets added in. A lot of times it may be part of her package on some of the initial quotes. But like if you go to our Barndominium calculator, I don't know. I'd have to ask right now if that's packaged in there with that price per square foot. But it's not that cookie cutter, because you're going to have some porch space, you're going to have some living, you're going to have all this kind of stuff. So there are occasions where your shell only does exceed that amount. Like if you're going to be doing stone and you're going to be adding some exterior upgrades, it adds to the cost, obviously. But when it comes to specialty pricing, let me just say this, because everybody comes to you different ways, and we don't have a lot of extra time to put prices together, because we got people, well, what if you're going to use red iron and you're not going to do anything but red iron? Well, we're not doing that. That's
Right.
not what we're doing. So we're not that builder, and so I guess that's what we're trying to let you know, is the specialty pricing stuff. It would be a long time before we'd be able to look at it. So we don't really have time to kind of package a price for everybody differently. So like now we will package pricing when it's either a complete shell only or a complete turnkey. But like if you call us and you've got 5 different ways you want us to bid the job, we're probably not the builder, because we don't have that kind of time right now. And we've got enough people that are willing to kind of sign up with this process, what we're already doing. So that's kind of the way it is. We have to meet the demands that
Yeah.
that people are willing to come with.
Well,
So
yeah, because we basically have to have kind of two options. It's either one or the other. We can't say, well, we're going to do our flooring, but we're not going to do the cabinets, and we're going to not
yeah.
do the HVAC, but we're going to do the electrical. So it's too hard. You have to kind of
What I'd like to do is
break
give them
things
kind
up.
of a
So
quick breakdown
okay,
of everything. So we're not, like I say, laboring this too long. Let's give them a quick list of everything on the shell option, what it includes, and just go through the list, and then we'll dive into some of those items.
all right. So what is included in our shell option that is going to start out around $100 a square foot is going to be your engineered foundation. We're going to send those plans off. We're going to do your underground plumbing, the steel frame with the metal roofing, the interior wood framing for the living portion, along with the zip system and flashing. We're going to install the windows, exterior doors, and then we're going to finish it off with the metal panels or whatever you're doing on the exterior. It's going to be completely dried in. The only thing not included on the exterior portion is going to be the garage doors. A lot of that's going to just depend on what you're wanting to do there, how big those doors are. There's just a lot of things on that we don't include that into that pricing.
Yes, and so that is kind of the workup point. So everything's going to be completely framed, and it's going to. I'm going to show you a little bit about what the framing process looks like. I don't have a complete picture, but this is kind of the framing process. If this was a shell only, this is an actual turnkey. You guys that are on TikTok aren't seeing it right now, but this is I'm just showing an example of uh, kind of a buildup with our framing style. All this could be a shell only. This particular build is not a shell only. It's just the quickest video that I was able to find. So,
But it shows our zip system and how we've got those seams taped up and flashed, all that
right.
completed.
And so ultimately, what we're looking to accomplish is to be able to come and build our specialized product, which a lot of what we specialize in is our wall systems. It is our fabrication team who sometimes some of the the requirements for our builds, because they're all weld up, the framing techniques that we use, our overhangs, all of the things that are special about the way that we build. We want to make this available to folks who are looking to get, maybe they're a DIY, maybe you have some skills yourself. As long as those things don't fall our, uh, on our trade and what we're trying to do. Because that's where it becomes like, well, no, I'm not going to come out and build your frame and then you do the sheeting, or
Yeah.
something like that. Like
We want to get it to that particular point and then just hand it over to you. So all the electrical trades, all the plumbing finish out and all that's going to have to be done after. Because I've had people say, well, will you at least insulate it?
yeah,
And it's like, well, we can't, because that's why we had to stop at the framing, because we can't do the insulation without having the electrical installed and the plumbing in the walls and things like that. So that's why that's not included into our process. But this is a great option for, like you said, people that want to finish it out themselves. Maybe they've got family members that have different specialties, and your brother can do all the tile, and your dad knows drywall, and your uncle does cabinets. Like you can really put together, especially if you're paying cash for things, you may want to kind of at least get it to that point, and then you can work on things yourself, on the weekends. It's a great option. I'm glad that we're getting to offer that to people now, and that's why we're willing to go the distance, because it's not as long as of a project for us as far as traveling that far for
yeah.
as long as it takes.
And obviously, the great thing about the shell only, and then I've been saying this, and I say this to our team all the time. I'm like, guys, everybody loves us during this part. Like, we are whooping butt and taking names because when we're doing that, it's like it's within our control.
Right.
But once you get on a little further down into the nitty gritty, where you're having to put
All
the
the
details
details, right.
and all these things to build out the custom build, it takes more time. And that's where we have all the same woes of construction that everybody else does. So that's the reasons.
It's a lot of communication and a lot of effort to get everybody there in the right time, and you're dealing with their schedules on top of your own schedules. So yeah, it's definitely a harder thing to finish out than to get to that point. So
Now, when it comes to our turnkey projects, like we love to be able
to see them finished.
finish those projects so that we can show the world. I mean, that's
Right.
what it's all about, because we're really proud of the work that we do. Not only do we celebrate each project uniquely amongst ourselves, as well as share them on all of our YouTube channel and the little nuances and everything about each project. So that's what's unique about that. We can't bring everybody to every job, so we have to do what we can to share that. And here we are with a lot of content, with a lot of barndominiums on our channel, which is over 150,000 subscribers now on YouTube. I think 70 something thousand on Instagram, and over 80,000 on Facebook, over 70,000 on TikTok. It's kind of nuts. because we didn't foresee all that happening. But it's just us. This is us. We're still a small company trying to do big things in in sometimes very difficult seasons and in a difficult world. So
Times are changing.
times are always uh, affecting all of that. So we've got quite a few folks here on YouTube and not as many on Facebook tonight. I don't know what happened there.
They're eating dinner.
Yeah. Yeah, they'll be on here in a little bit. And then we got a good little crowd over here on TikTok. We got a good crowd on Instagram. So what we want to do, hopefully you guys have got some good questions about to roll out. But again, we're going to talk about a few of these things just so you understand the depths of it and why it's important to us to use the engineered foundation. It's on all of our foundations, whether they have a soil survey or not. A lot of them are all predictable. Like you'll see, the foundation has kind of the grade beams that are on like 10 foot on centers. So there's a lot of concrete that goes into this, and that doesn't just stop on our house portion, but everywhere you see a porch, those are engineered foundations, and they have as much concrete in the porches as it does on the living. So that's something to keep in mind, as well as in the shop area. Are we here?
Ah, I
Oh
see
my
us.
gosh.
That was scary.
Is it on here? Oh, we about lost every one of you.
Oh, I think we're back on Instagram now.
Are we back?
I think so. I see us
Guys,
over
that
here.
was like,
Wow.
I was like,
Technical difficulties.
wow. Okay. I literally got a screen that said no internet. So I don't know if it's going to work. But
I think they're back.
I'm on this
You're
other.
back. It says you're back,
I
and
went
yes,
on
they
the.
see us now. Okay.
I went on the other one.
Oh, good.
Okay. Well,
Sorry about that.
okay. So
where were we?
where were we? I don't remember. I was in.
We're talking about the engineered foundation.
We're talking about engineered foundation. All of the foundations, uh, you know, have the grade beams, which are on like 10-foot spacing, somewhere in that range, 8 to 10 foot. So a lot that goes into our foundations, and that is a big plus. Because if you ever got ready to modify or you wanted to build out into your garage, um, you know, you got the support there for it. So that's something that is very handy, I guess. Also, our all of the plumbing, the underground is included. Like I said, just the underground, not the top out in the price.
Right, because you obviously need to have that into your concrete.
Mike is asking how deep are the footers? The footers can be usually no less than 24 inches, but they're engineered. So sometimes they're a little thicker. I've seen them 36 inches, all the way up to 42 inches. So it really depends on the soil survey. So I appreciate that question. We got Anna, Texas. You guys tell us where you're watching from. What do you assume for base bid dirt fill amount? I don't assume anything. I definitely don't assume that. So
funny.
you said I got something on my right arm.
Oh yeah, it's like a
spider
web. Well, that's what happens when you set up in your shop.
I'm crawling in the holes and cleaning out all the so
well, they can see you
spiders.
clearly.
Is it worth doing porches later? Cyrus Richardson from TikTok is asking. I don't think so. I mean, if you want to do them later, you certainly can. That's the great thing about the Barndominium is it's pretty easy to
add on.
But it might be that might be a cost saving benefit.
But then how would you do your porches?
But the way that we do the
Like the
porches,
framing.
we're able to integrate that in with the flashing and all that kind of stuff. So it's very kind of important part of our wall system, the way that we do it. Also, it adds great support to the overall house structure. So, and Carl, that's what I say. It's better to pour than monolithic because you don't want to have less support when you're tying in concrete. You don't want to have something with lesser support right jointed together to the other because it becomes like this pulling effect. It's like we need the same kind of support together to hold each other up.
Like adding a little wing on there.
That's right.
Needs to
That'd be like being married to somebody and only one person's pulling all the weight.
I wouldn't know anything about that.
Oh my gosh.
Almost Valentine's Day.
Yeah. Happy Valentine's.
Yep. Guys, your ladies are wanting a Barndominium. They're wanting to host parties out in the shop.
That's right. So
put a 14-foot Christmas tree that won't fit inside. Josh loves Christmas trees.
I'm not against Christmas. I don't like storage. I don't like having to have storage for Christmas. You guys, surely somebody's out there that will agree with that.
Nope.
So, but having a Barndominium does present a lot of extra options for extra storage.
Yep, lots of storage.
You can literally take that, that part of the build where
it's too short
for living, and you can designate that just for your wife, and you just say, "Hey, y'all,
just shut the door and just don't look inside.
Here's a door, and here's 40 foot by 7 foot, and y'all just have at it." And you know what? It doesn't take long, and that thing is packed full.
It's like a purse. However much storage you have, you're going to fill it up.
Oh my goodness.
Yep. Okay. Do you want to, let's see here.
Wellner
somebody
says, I know
on
you look familiar from YouTube. Well, I look the same on TikTok as I do on YouTube. So that's me. Pretty much same guy.
I have a question on Instagram that says, looks like Quay for real. What are your recommendations land wise for the amount of acres? I mean, that's really just depends on the layout.
Well, you
your
just need
barndo.
enough room for a house. I mean,
Yeah, you don't need any more room necessarily for a barndo than you do a house, but it may dictate if you've got like a real skinny parcel of land, you may have to go, um, you know, a different direction with your barndominium. You may not be able to have like a landscape. You may have to go.
Quackheads. We got some funny names on TikTok. Quackhead said, how do I get one of them hats? That's clean. Yeah, that is clean, guys. I've been telling y'all.
And we have some.
They're
for
right
sale.
there in TikTok shop. You just swipe over, you can pick it up. Also on Instagram, they're on the shop on Instagram. You can get this Sunrise Texas Best hat. Help support our internet bill because this internet stuff is getting.
We need to upgrade, I guess. We thought we were getting one, but let's see here. Do you have anything on there you want to answer?
Well, we got a lot of people on that are on YouTube.
Okay.
So I'm not seeing a bunch of questions. So you guys try to help with that.
Duncanville.
We got some.
Hey, David.
He's on Facebook.
Yeah.
David, Laura. Watching from Virginia. Thanks, Brian. Watching from Louisville, Texas. Thanks, Diane. Watching from Anna, Texas. Thanks, Hernsberger. Oh, is that a Hernsberger that we know?
I don't know. Maybe.
I know some Hernsberger.
So
tell us where you're at. We got Fort Worth watching over here.
I got a Fort Worth over here. Colorado, wanting to build a barndominium, just not sure where to start. Kristen Fairband. If you'll look on our link tree, we have a free PDF. It's listed there.
It's on the bottom of the.
Yeah, it's on the little band there. If you'll look on our, we have a free PDF. It's actually from one of our first podcasts that we did, or whatever we're calling these. And it gives you like where to start. So it's going to tell you all the things to look for, some resources. It's a free resource. Anybody out there that's looking for that, definitely download that free PDF.
We got Alabama on here. We got San Antonio Rodeo over here. We got Orlando.
Waxahachie. Yay.
We used to live in Orlando for a short season.
About 8 months.
Back in 2004 when there was 4 hurricanes hit there. So we just used to chase disasters and live there. That's what we wanted to do. And
we found one in Orlando.
There was 4 hurricanes hit there, and we did some work there for about a year with another group, local group there. Freddie from Waxahachie, Texas, thanks for joining us. Waxahachie, a lot of people don't know how to say that, but that's close to where we're at. That's like 5 miles down the road.
That's where the closest Home Depot is. I've got somebody asking about if we would build in Godly, Granbury. Yes, we have built there, both. We have a 60-mile turnkey, 100-mile shell option from Red Oak, Texas.
All right. So for some of you that have tuned in and you missed the first part, we want to say some of this stuff over again. So we're talking about shell only builds and the differences between a shell only and a turnkey build. So for a shell only, for us, this is what it includes. Here's where we stop, but it includes everything the way that we build, all the way up to getting your mechanical trades in there and insulation. So you're going to have all of your wood framing done, all of your foundation, of course, your steel frame, metal roofing, interior wood framing for all of the living, which we use a 2x6 studded walls on the exterior walls, and then we use a zip system for all the exterior, and you get all of our flashing. I feel like this is like an infomercial. And you get the zip 2.0 is what we call it, where we use all of the liquid flashing on all the nail heads and all that. And then it includes the windows and exterior doors. So we flash all that stuff, get it all done the way that we would do on a turnkey, which is what we're always emphasizing here on these channel, and letting the proper ways to do them.
And there's definitely a difference in how we build versus other people. So you'll definitely want to kind of keep that in mind whenever you're kind of shopping or trying to figure out who you want to do your build. The 2x6 studded wall is not going to be that's not how everybody does it. The zip system is not how everybody does it. But I mean, I've seen people on some of the Barndominium groups, things like that, having issues with like leaky windows. But that's the thing, is we don't want to leave you with the potential of having that and have our name on it. We're going to flash those windows. We're going to get those installed, and they're going to be top notch before we depart.
Right. And so that's a big part of some of the communication and stuff that's going on as you're making your selections for windows. You have to, if you're trying to upgrade that, you got to get all that worked into the price. You got to get all that information in there pretty early on so that you're not having to pay extra money. So now, I think it's a great option. I think it's a great option for some of the DIYers, for us to work with some of these kind of folks who maybe they do want to put some sweat equity in a build themselves. And plus, trust me, there's plenty of work left to do. I can tell you that right
Yeah,
now.
for sure.
Now, it's not easy. You're going to have to designate time to do the end, to get it the way it needs to go. I mean, but your shell is protected. Your exterior shell is going to be what I believe to be one of the best Barndominium built shells in Texas.
It's not just a barn that somebody threw up and good luck with.
Yeah,
It's meant to be a house. It's
our
meant to be finished
attitude
out.
is not, it's just a barn though, like it's just a shop or it's just this. Like our attitude is we're building a home. So that's the reason why we take the approach to do the details that we do, to put the engineered foundation, to put the thickness and everything that we do when it comes to that, because you're not going to want your house, floating around out there on the land. So,
Or not having the
and Texas is
water barrier and things.
Texas is kind of known for having more, um, what do you call it? More clay expansive soils and more, uh, I guess, inconsistency. But now we have some good soils in certain regions, certain areas where I'm always great. I'm always happy when we run into that. But um, that's what it's. At the end of the day, uh, the soil is a big part of this
Well, it's
build.
important. Absolutely. It's the foundation of your home, and you're going to want it to be done right. And I wouldn't suggest skimping out on the soil survey unless you've built on that land before and you're not going to have issues. I would definitely recommend that. I don't know, what it's like in the other states, but I would imagine I would still want to do that.
Cameron says, 'cause Cameron's got a lot of questions here. If I sent you my
On
build
TikTok.
plans, will you look at it for me to tell me if it's correct? Cameron, I probably won't get to do that. But what you're looking for plans is in a layout. There's not a lot of people that are really with your plans, giving you a lot of in-depth details when it comes to telling you how to put a building together, telling you how to construct it. It's just a picture. It's a layout.
Well, the good thing about a barn though is you can change up the configuration inside. I mean, like as long as you've got the structure there, the foundation there, there's not going to be any load bearing walls on that interior framing and things.
So what I'm trying to say is your plans, when it comes to you're going to want to have somebody involved that has a good idea of how to build one, number one, and you don't want it to be their first time and them to be trying out on you. So that's what it's about. Now, if you're trying to do it yourself, is if you're asking me, is there kits where people have really pre-thought all this together? I think there's people that are working on that, but I haven't seen any well thought out, planned, engineered living kits when it comes to something like that. To that I would put my blessing on, because 90%, or not, I wouldn't say 90%, but probably 70 to 80% of people are still out there using poor methods when it comes to wall flashings and when it comes to their wall systems and the things that they're doing. And, I just disagree with a lot of the way that people build. I disagree with using Tyvek only on the outside of a I don't know, a lot of it impacts a lot of people because a lot of people that are doing it, but I don't think that's the best way when you're talking about your home, to put just a metal building up and put Tyvek over it and put sheets. That for me is not what I would want to do around my windows and all that. And the thing is people are having real problems with this type of a setup. And I mean, we get contacted all the time of all the problems and the water that's coming inside people's walls. And is there anything I can do now? And it's always too late for us. Like, I mean, we're so busy doing our work, but it's too late for me to tell you not to do that after you've already done it. And so we're constantly trying to put our information out here on the World Wide Web to let people know, hey, let's do something better, and let's have better practices when it comes to window flashings and details and all of these things, because we know what works. I mean, we've been seeing what works. So, and it's not that just that we never have any problems. It's just that you need to what we've always tried to do when we were getting started out is just develop a good system that we could stand behind, that says, hey, this is going to be uh you know something that you don't have to look over your shoulder every all the time and be worried about. We want to put a good weight behind us of good things, and that's the goal.
Um,
Somebody's honking when they drove by. Was that one of y'all?
I have 2 people on Instagram, which is why I want to address it. I have 2 people on Instagram asking if we do basements.
Somebody said, I saw some on here that has water coming inside. Yeah, I bet you did. Um, Southern chick said that.
So,
Everybody's in disguise on TikTok. They got special names on here.
well, on the basement question that we've got over here, we do. We are actually doing one of the first ones in Texas. Texas is not a big basement area, but we can
Well,
absolutely.
we're not doing the first basement in Texas.
Well, we're doing our first basement.
We're doing a basement in Texas, and it's in a good area where they have good soil. So we had favorable conditions because it's almost all the way to Oklahoma.
Yeah, basically.
But the black gold Barndominium is going to be an epic build. We've got to get you guys more updates on that build, but we do have basement coming there. That's not a shell only, and it's going to be a pretty high end build when it comes to all that's involved.
And we've actually done like storm shelters. We've done like a tornado shelter. We've done a couple in a few of the homes that we've done. They've kind of hidden them in a closet or whatever. So definitely something that you can incorporate if maybe you can't do a basement, because some of the places in Texas is straight rock.
Cameron says he just got quoted $23,000 for a 4,800 square foot shell in clicking doors and windows, 29 gauge metal. Well, Cameron, I'd be very careful about that, just because just buying a shell doesn't mean you're getting the same thing. 29 gauge is not what we use. We use a 26 gauge standard, and we've got zip system and all that stuff behind it. So again, not tearing that down doesn't mean you can't build it, doesn't mean you can't use that. to do something. It's just you got to pay attention to your practices of how you're going to do your wall systems and all these kind of things. Pay really close attention to how we do our wall systems, because we have good results with that when it comes to living quarters. But when you go into the shops and you're trying to get flashing and stuff like that around windows, we're still constantly working to improve those processes as well. And the reason why it's so important on your living quarters is because you got all the windows, you got that's where you got all that sheetrock, you got your paint, you got all of your, your more insulation, um, all of that stuff, is there. And so you're trying to protect that. And, to pay uh whatever it is, another $30 a sheet right now for zip, and to be able to put that on the outside um, is going to add that protection for your home, which you're spending however many hundreds of thousands of dollars to build. So, um, you know what I'm saying?
Let's see here. I've got another question. Have y'all built in mesquite before? We don't have a mesquite barn dough yet.
Dennis
We can.
Lauterbach said you're going to need a helicopter to travel.
Yes. You wanna
I
take us?
know. I'm going to need you to fly me around all over Texas, and everybody be happy about that. How much per square foot for non turnkey? Okay, for the shell only. So we got some people just joining, which is fine, and that's why we're trying to go through it quick. It's $100 per square foot, roughly. Depends on how many porches you have and all that. It adds to your. But for living square footage, it's $100 approximately per square foot. Um, Typically, it ends up being around that, and that's now we have a more specific way to figure the cost, but I'm just giving you on average like about where it ends up being. So there's obviously a lot of things that can add to the cost, whether it's fireplaces, whether it's additional porch space. Those things are really stretching out your cost on an overall square footage. Now, our porch spaces do not cost $100 a square foot, so that's less per square foot. But you still got the cost for concrete because you got all the same emphasis going into that.
And we finish our soffits underneath. So
Yeah,
that's
we
something.
will. That includes a finished soffits under all the um, overhangs and all that.
porches. Yeah.
So, David says, "Does a shell only has no AC, plumbing, HVAC, etc.?" Yes, David, that is correct. So shell only stops just shy of needing your trade. So we get it all framed and ready to where you could come in and get your trades in there. And this is where sometimes people do. They have some relationships where they could lean on, whether they have licensed family members that are licensed in other fields, and so you can find more general construction people in those areas to do the shell on. I mean, to do the finish outs. Getting your cabinets. You could order cabinets as far as that goes off the internet nowadays. So there's a lot of that gives you a lot more options when it comes to doing for the DIYers out there.
Yeah, or if you're wanting to pay as you go.
Somebody says, "But can I just get an open shell and build the inside myself?"
Not not with us.
Joy,
with the framing.
we're not doing just a complete outer shell and not inner. So like if we need a completed set of plans, because when we do our engineering for the foundation and all that stuff, well, that's how we build it. And I don't want to pay a framer because we use wood and steel. I don't want to pay a framer to come out and just do a little bit of the framing. So if you can understand, we want to complete that part of the trade. So that's the reason why we don't split it up, or we're not trying to offer that currently at this time. And like I said, we're trying to serve. Uh, we're trying to routinely keep these shells going. So any specialized things, it kind of takes time to be able to specialize and break it up and do something different each time. So that's the reason why it's important for us to get a system and stick with it. Um, Somebody says, what is the difference between zip system and foam encapsulation? Can they be combined? So we use a little bit of both, like especially like our roof lines currently. Now I have explained on the roof lines where we can use the zip up there. It just adds to the cost. And when we packaged all this together, it was to create an affordable option of based on what we feel like is most critical. So our shell only and our turnkeys, we actually do use closed cell foam against the metal on the roof only. And so in our attic areas, but around our windows, doors, all of the wall penetrations, everything on the exterior of the home, when it comes to those areas, we use the zip system and a 2x6 studded walls. So, you know, so we use closed cell on the roof lines, and then we add the open cell on top of that. So it gives us a really, really good insulating barrier.
That's just with our turnkey. It's not a part of the
Yeah,
shell.
it's not part of the shell only though. So for the spray foam, but the zip is important. What I always say is I don't feel like you should completely rely on spray foam to do all of the flashing on your home. Like if you are, you're going to find that that is uh that is going to be a problem. So you don't want that to be your only source for flashing. Like just like on the exterior of a window, we use flashing details around the window. Well, you also use a little bit of spray foam around the windows when you install them. But you don't rely on that spray foam to keep that dry. You put flashing, you put the proper things that you need as well on the exterior, and that's what I mean when I say don't rely on spray foam to be the only means of flashing. So Manuel Rodriguez says, what does the shell only mean? So the shell only means it's just basically the framing aspect on the interior, and then all of for us, this is what it means. It's all of the framing aspects on the interior and all of the completed exterior wrap, including all of our finished details on the outside. So when you look at it on the outside, it's going to look like a completed build.
And the engineered foundation.
Yeah, and with all the concrete and all that.
Yep.
Now, when you look at it on the inside, you're just going to see a frame up. You're going to see studs for walls and all of that. Michael, we are live on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok and LinkedIn tonight. So we're on them, and we got a good group. So he was asking, maybe you want to see the other viewpoint, but we're not showing any other presentations. So it's just here for tonight. So you guys have some additional questions? I'm going to check back here.
I don't see anything.
Cameron says he's in Indiana, so they have a higher wind load. Yes, this is something I always recommend that you check your municipalities or your whatever your code requirements are in your area, because like we're working in Texas, we're working in our zone, our climate, we're working in the Dallas Fort Worth area. So we have a little bit different set of circumstances than you guys might have when it comes to what'd you say, Indiana?
I got a question for you on Instagram. Somebody wants to know if you used to live in West Texas.
In West or
No, just West.
the city West?
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I
to.
used to live in Leroy, Texas.
Good old Leroy.
Leroy, Texas. And you might know some of my family down that way if you're from there.
We also have another question. Do I have to have land to build with y'all, or do you have any homes available. So everything we do is a custom built home. So you'll have to provide the land, you'll have to provide the plans as to what you're wanting to do, as well as the financing. So we're just the builder. We're just going to come in and actually build what you're wanting on your property.
That's right. And usually there is a time where once we get a certain point in our contracting phase, we come out, uh, you know, and look at your property, look at your site. I'll come out and do that. We'll make sure you got a buildable area as you get a little farther down the long, as you get a little farther down the way. We got the beard questions coming in on TikTok. Belton, Central Texas. Uh, I'd have to plug it in, but you guys that are looking
That's
for
too far.
distances, check it out. 100 miles. Like I said, we have a little bit of flexibility there, but especially if we're already working in an area, you see we're working somewhere, then you can maybe convince us. So, because we all, it is better if we're working more than one project in one area. But we can't completely just open up and say, oh, we're going 130 miles now, you know. Who is that?
I don't know. Blue tuna.
Somebody on Instagram remembers me from the school bus.
Those are the pre-beard days.
I'd be hard to remember. My mom used to drive the school bus.
Oh, you're telling it all.
Yeah, we're telling it all. So she used to do that.
Let's see.
I had another question here. Dewana Williams, is Tyvek an option? If so, is it more or less cost effective? Dewana, this is an option for some people, but not for us. Like our shell only will not, we don't use Tyvek. So that's just, we use, now we used it on our build. We build, because, but now somebody could do OSB and Tyvek. At least I hope they would do that, or some type of a sheathing or plywood. But I recommend the zip, and that's just, or a LP product has a great product, that I haven't been able to find it or get it available to me currently. But LP has a good product too, which is comparable to the zip. So for some of you guys, we don't, okay, between the slices, we don't have different prices for 4,000 square foot or 1,000 square foot. It is pretty consistent. It's around 100,000 100,000. It's around $100 per square foot. So it costs money to build bigger.
And some of you guys that may be just joining us, we have on LinkedIn, our link tree actually. Link tree. We have all kinds of information.
I'm going to put it back up on here.
So there's a Barndo cost calculator. So some of you guys that are asking, have a certain square footage that you have in mind. We have a Barndo cost calculator with a shell option or the turnkey. So you can plug in all the dimensions, all your information on there and get an instant quote. So it's going to be a preliminary quote because obviously if we're going to actually do the build for you, we're going to want to look at those plans, see if there's anything that might need to be added or changed. There's going to be there might be some things that weren't accounted for in that preliminary quote. So get on there, fill it out as many times as you want. Check it out. It's going to send it instantly. It's not something that somebody's going to have to take 2 weeks to look at. It's going to be an instant thing. So get on there and look for that. Also, keep in mind, we have a free PDF if you're wanting to figure out what do you need to get started. There's a lot of information on there. There's lenders. There's all kinds of information on that free PDF that's listed on our link tree. And it'll definitely get you started in the right direction. So keep that in mind.
Got a question from Christy Crawford. Says, how about the best advice for cold climate builds? And Christy, it's cold here today. It's only like in the mid 50s. So, we get cold, and but at the end of the day, you want to pay attention. There's a lot of cold climate builders that are out there, got some really good methods, practices, stuff out there, especially on Instagram. I follow a bunch of different ones, but the best advice I would say start with is to see what is common, work with those, uh, look into what the code requirements are. It doesn't take a whole lot to find out what your climate zone is and really start familiarizing yourself with that. But you're going to want to focus on what your R factors need to be on your wall systems, because that'll allow you to know, okay, what my wall thicknesses need to be. And what I would recommend is that you had more R factors when it comes to that. You need to have, I've seen people doing like R60 walls and stuff like that in those colder climates, but which is a lot because, but I don't know that that's necessarily code. A lot of people are doing that to get better results when it comes to energy efficiencies. So your wall system, roof system, and your insulation, those things are what you really ultimately need to focus on. But there's some. We're going to continue to bring you guys information about why the barndominium.
I
You
think a
know,
lot of people in the colder climates have heated floors too. We don't have to really do that here. We don't want more
yeah,
heat
it's very
usually.
costly to do the heated floors, but a lot of people do it in those climates. Um, Somebody said, "How far west do you go?" Not very far. It's like I'm in Weatherford. We've got another one coming in Santo, I think is the name of it. And we've done work in Grayford down there and Possum Kingdom. So that's for me is what's west. We've also worked in Hyco um, and Clifton. Now some of those are becoming a little more southwest to my area. So let's see. Back to some other comments. Is there a cost savings to a metal building barndominium versus post beam versus traditional wood construction? Steve, that's a good question, because that's a common thing that is some of the differences between our area and some of the differences between some of the northern climates and different options that are out there. There's a lot of different options. I would say what's different about ours is on the steel framing. It allows us to span more, and we're able to cover more territory. I feel like we're able to do. In some ways, I feel like I'm able to do more with less. But there's a lot of good systems out there. I'm not knocking it. I'm actually exploring to learn more about some of the when it comes to uh, your wood packages on a wood frame on the pole barn options. Just out of curiosities, we're in talks trying to figure some of that stuff out. But I don't really know. But I would hope that there would be cost savings on the wood side. Um, but I may be wrong.
Well, some of the pros and cons you're going to be looking at. You're not going to have the um, maintenance and things like that. I mean, obviously, do you want a steel frame? I mean, that is that important to you to have that? Versus the traditional wood construction, you're not going to have any of that. You're going to have a potential for termite problems. I mean, there's just a they all come with different so it's more about what you're wanting. It definitely has a different look to it. It's not a traditional thing. It's not like you're going to have a whole street full of the same looking house or
And I
whatever.
think I
So,
think it depends on the methods of build too. But some people kind of get worried about them rotting at the base, and I know there's a lot of protective ways to do that. My dad and I were talking about the other night, and he's like, man, I just really like knowing that I have something that's embedded in the concrete that's already, it's not going to rot out, and you got your structure and it stays there. And so that's one of the things we were talking about just the other night. So, uh, you know, hopefully that helps your question. haven't seen finished walkthrough videos on YouTube recently. Chase, I'll let Drew know. He's working on them. We got a bunch actually that we finished that he's editing. So we got one hopefully coming out this week.
Kind of got them backlogged.
Yeah, we're a little bit backlogged on the finished tours, but they're coming. And on YouTube, we've got a lot of these informative type videos that are coming as well. And we're going to be doing more updates. We're going to be really active this year on all of these platforms. So that's our goal. We're not messing around and we're going to be bringing it. So stay tuned. Make sure you got your ears on, Chase.
Yeah, ring that bell so you get alerted every time we have a finished.
Come
Bardo.
on, ring that bell. David says, does shell only include roughed in plumbings? Is it best to have water and electricity ran to the property first or afterwards? Yes, that's correct, David. The shell only includes rough in only. It's just the rough in. We are including that because obviously we need to do it in order to complete our job. And so anything that needs to be done to complete our job, we're doing it up to that point. And then you're asked, is it best to have water and electricity ran to the property first or afterwards? As soon as you can get both of those, the better, because it's going to make the project be ready to go. But you know, we have done projects where we didn't have the electric or water. We've had to come up with ways, you know, whenever you're waiting on a well to be dug or something like that.
Hauling water in just to put in tile. Honey, I want to address real quick. I've got
one. Okay, I'll let you do that. Christy is asking, would I share the site again where we could punch in the info for the cost estimates? Yes, it's in our bio on TikTok and Instagram, but it's linktree.com/Texas Best Construction. So I will, it's in the link in the bio. So if you want to find it, it's the main link on these channels because there's always something that we're trying to promote. But the Barndo calculator, you'll be able to find it. It's also on our website at texasbestbarndo.com
under the resource tab.
texasbestbarndominium.com.
But sometimes our website is a little finicky with depending on which, so if you're using Safari or Google or which search engine you're using. So if it hangs up on you, try it a different direction or go to that link tree. What I wanted to address, because he's asked on TikTok and now he's asking on Instagram, have Mikey Lusk, what's the dimensions on the Mansfield Barndominium? I don't have that information in front of me to remember, but we have a build series.
I can kind of tell you it's based on the downstairs, kind of based on a 60 by 40 replicated, and it's got 16-foot eave heights,
and it's got a wraparound porch though too.
Yeah, it's got a wraparound porch all the way around, but that doesn't include the porch
or the shop. The shop is separate too.
The Mansfield build,
but there's a playlist for it, and I think we may give some of that information maybe when we were pouring it.
Oh yeah. Well, maybe not. We weren't. I don't know. That was early on.
Yeah.
We weren't doing a good job on some of that, especially the tour. You weren't even in the tour video. So I don't know what she was doing.
I was not being a part.
Yeah. She was just.
You made me.
Yeah.
This is not really my comfort zone over here.
Thank you, Christy. We appreciate that. Thanks for all the questions. David, I'm not ignoring you. I just don't know how to answer the question, your assumption for base bid. But it's going to be different because you're going to do a soil test on each build, and it sometimes is going to require some of your pad sites are going to require different things. So hopefully that helps.
Oh, think.
Oh, goodness.
I just lost all those stinking comments.
Okay. We got a couple right here. Life with Cali, we want to build a shop with no living square footage. The HOA requires it to have a 9-pitch asphalt shingle roof. Is that something you could accommodate on your shell only
Mm.
option?
It wouldn't be the same price because we'd have to do the roof differently.
I mean, we can. What it means is to do it out of metal. You have to pull your purlins together a little closer. You have to have a little more framing involved to put that kind of roof on, because we span 4 foot with purlins. Um, and I won't show you now, but if you look at, most of the time you're seeing that red iron, it's spanned about 4 to 5 foot apart. Well, in order to put the the decking that you need to put shingles, you got to move those purlins closer together on like at least a 2 foot spacing. And so that's something that is going to change the game a little bit. But when you're asking if we would be willing to do it, if it's in our area, if it's something that could easily be mocked to do, or specked out to do, then you know I I changed out a roof last month or whatever it was
That's what we
for
used to
for
do is
hailstorm. So I used to do roofing all the time. We can do any kind of
asphalt
roofing. It's
shingles all
just
the time.
when it comes to barndominiums, our primary choice is the PBR style panels because it goes along with everything else that we're doing. So, but I'm a roofer from way back. I did commercial roofing, all kinds of roofing. We can do shingle roofing as well. It's not something we do a lot of currently.
And I apologize, Instagram. I accidentally swiped over when I was trying to look for a comment and lost all the comments from before. So if you didn't get your question answered, you can ask again, please, because I lost them all.
And David, 18 inches without a report. Yeah, that would be probably a good assumption. Now that we're using that word, but sometimes it's based on anywhere from probably 14 inches to 18 inches. Depends on some of your falls and stuff too. How much more dirt you're going to need when it comes to elevation. Okay, did we get this? Okay, we answered that one. Watching from Fort Worth, we own land in Blum. Okay, Nikki, we work in Blum.
Got a couple out there.
We got a couple. Looking to build in a couple years. What do y'all recommend as a lead time to give y'all from start to turnkey? So the turnkey, currently we're expecting it does take a little bit more time to get started, primarily because we're going to be on the project a lot longer. So, but it's not that much difference. I mean, we're actually trying to start projects in sequence anyways. So
right now we have a lead time of about 6 to 8 weeks once the papers
sometimes
are
more.
yeah. Our once
Depending
the
on the
funding is
weather.
available, once the the contract is signed kind of thing, once you've closed on your loan or whatever, that's usually what our lead time is currently. But in a couple of years, who knows? I mean, we may be like booking it. We may be really, really starting them quick. I don't know.
I'm just expecting that one day you
One
guys
day
are
we're
gonna
going to be all caught
you're
up.
gonna contract us. We're gonna start the job.
We're going to finish in like a week.
The next day.
Yeah. Going to be done instant.
I mean, that's the hope, right? Like
Yeah.
to completely improve your processes where you can really just
You'll be in before Christmas.
yeah, everybody's in before Christmas. So before the next Christmas, I mean. So
I've got somebody that asked on Instagram real quick. I'm losing my headphones.
thank you, Chase. We appreciate that. He says he loves what we're doing and loves the builds.
Aaron Clark on Instagram says, can you estimate the price difference in standing seam versus PBR? You have any idea on that?
Well, I can't off the top of my head because of their framing. And I'll just be honest with you guys. I have priced this before, but we haven't had anybody do it. So currently. Now we're talking to some pretty good folks that are wanting to do some cool stuff, coming up, which I'm excited about because I want to go further in the build science side of things. I mean, if you guys want to build passive homes, I'll be there. Let's do it.
You'd be the first one.
Yeah. But, you know, the, uh, the framing has got to change. We've got to add decking on the top. Then you got to put standing seam. So it's not just changing,
A
one
roof.
roof profile to the other. The
Yeah.
reason why is because the standing seam actually is made to where your main fasteners are on the top on the bottom of the eave lines and then at the top. And then you've got all of the clips that are attaching the panel along the way. So that panel is actually designed to move a lot, which is fine. It's good for the steel, but it's not good for shear strength and things like that. So you're trying to make those modifications to your framing so that that panel is allowed to still move. Because if you come under that steel, uh, if you come under that standing seam panel and spray foam it, it's going to be jacked up. So that's why you can't do that. Thanks, Carrie. Appreciate it. Thanks for joining us on here tonight. Does photography and videography. That's pretty cool. I didn't know you were doing that. So,
I have a lot of people asking if we sell or create plans in-house. So currently we do not. We outsource those. We would refer you to the Barndominium lady with our Barndominium Life. They do really awesome plans, 3D walkthrough. You can do a flyby on what your house is going to look like, which is really cool. Or we also have on that free PDF, I think we've got information for another draftsman on there that you can get your plans from. We want to sell plans. We just hadn't got to that point just yet. So I want to let you know that.
thanks, Will. You just got the #1 gifter badge. I don't even know what that means. I'm totally, but shout out to you. You did a good job, whatever it was. So maybe I'll figure it out at some point. Thanks for sending roses too. They're sending those to you, I think. So
Oh yeah, for
thank you, Will.
Valentine's.
It's Valentine's, so
Thanks.
thanks y'all for sending Brandy
A dozen roses.
some roses.
Thanks, Will.
It's crazy over there. Okay. Well, I hope you guys are having a good time. We just wanted to come in early for Valentine's, but we've been doing this and every Tuesday night, 7 p.m. So we'll come back as long as we can think of something to come on here and talk about. I think we're going to keep doing this. So you guys keep with the questions. So, okay. Thanks, Sherry. Yeah. Sherry says, hate that I didn't make it out when you're doing a dirt work in Wills Point last week. So, yeah, we got a project we started in Wills Point, and we're making our way to some of what is known as East Texas for us, trying to get over to some of these other projects as well. But yeah, we built a pad over there last week. And probably there's been a lot more rain, and we've been trying to facilitate get materials and stuff like that on the jobs to get these started. We've got some turnkey builds coming, and then we've got some shell onlys coming. Quite a few projects to start, as well as quite a few that we're finishing up.
Wrapping up.
We're finishing some projects currently. Let's see where we all finished. We just finished Glen Rose. We did a tour video yesterday, Glen Rose, Texas.
And that'll be an exciting one for you guys once we get the video out on it, because it's going to actually be an Airbnb that you can come stay at. It's not ours, but
that's right. At some point, we're going to breaking news. You can now go stay in this Texas best Barndominium
and hunt for dinosaurs.
That's right. Yeah, Sherry, the roads are a mess in Wills Point. I put a public service announcement out on my Facebook because I was afraid I was going to have a flat tire. No, I think it's just the roads. So hopefully in Wills Point, they'll be working on those. before I get too far going on that project. Somebody says, do you think zip wall is necessary when spray foaming? I think zip wall's necessary. So whether you're spray foaming, there's other insulation that you can do, techniques, different types of insulation. And what I was saying was that I don't think that spray foam should be the
Only line of defense.
the only line of defense for flashing. So, which is why we want to use the zip. The zip not only is it a moisture barrier, it's an air barrier. So that's the idea, is to get it all closed. Um, have there been any? Chase says, have there been any tornado high winds, and how do your buildings fare versus residential homes? Well, Chase, I haven't had any bad stories yet uh, about that to tell you. So I'm knocking on wood. I'm very thankful that all of our homes are still standing, and there's been no tornadoes. So we don't want to find that out. But we have had instances where we're just in the middle of construction, and I go to check out on a job the next day because there was a bad storm, and we've had 70, 80 mile per hour winds, and you're always questioning. You're like, hey, wonder how we fared.
I tell you what,
I wonder who left things laying around.
That's a scary feeling, because usually when a storm's coming in, you're only watching your area. You're like, oh, is it going to hit us? What time is it going to hit us? What, how bad is it going to be? And whenever a storm comes in, we're like, oh, what all do we have exposed? What all is here? What,
we have
to
no
check
idea.
all the areas.
But our thoughts and our prayers are going out to all 100-mile radius
places. Yeah. Anywhere we've built, we're like, oh, please don't hit,
yeah, we're watching the news, and usually, like, if it's coming across,
we used to pray for hail, didn't we?
Well, yeah, I guess that's our own reaping our own rewards.
No, we're hoping not.
What I was saying was, I have been out. I went to go check on our project. I saw some other structures laying on the ground, not
too far from ours.
too far from ours, and I was able to report, to our clients that, hey, one of the neighbors had a truss frame house that blew over, and ours was still standing. And I don't want to make the big what to do. I don't want to show everybody's mistakes or whatever all over the place. But I thought that was a great testament for our structure, because we were actually on higher ground. And, to see a structure like that laying on the ground, my heart sunk, because I knew somebody put a lot of work and money into it.
Yeah.
And their whole thing was laying over. And I was just like,
well, our Eustis barn though was actually a replacement for a house that was taken down by a tornado. So we actually did a steel frame there to replace one that had been lost there. I have another question coming in on Instagram, asking, will finance companies allow two different builders on the loan, like if you did the shell only? So we have a customer.
It's a great question.
That is doing that. A lot of times your lender is going to want just one general contractor. So we're actually going to have to process our draws through that builder. So they'll submit basically what we're submitting for. They'll submit it and ask for the draw. And that's how we're going to have to go around that. I'm not sure if the lenders will do finance just a shell only. I don't think that they will. But you can definitely look into that. A lot of people are paying cash for their bills, and they can do, whatever they're wanting.
I wouldn't say everybody's paying cash, but there is a lot of folks who might have sold a property.
Yeah,
and they've got, like I said, they're going to put their equity that they sold out of another property into the shell.
Right.
And then they're going to get the bank involved, to finish it out. And some of them are already getting all that kind of stuff worked out. I think it's going to be one of those things where every situation is uniquely different.
And every lender is going to be different in what they're going to require. So I would definitely ask whoever you're planning on being your lender, and we could definitely work with if you're going to have like a general contractor to finish out the inside.
Hernsberger says, have you looked into the snap lock standing seam roof panels? These panels don't use clips. Um, I haven't looked too far because, uh, I've got to get the decking on there in order to put the standing seam. This is what my manufacturer told me when I was trying to approach the issues, and I really did. I really tried. So, but maybe I'm wrong. So I'm not going to sit here and say I know everything. Maybe there's another product that would allow me to use it, and if that's the case, that'd be great. Luke says, "Hey, thanks for giving us your time. Do you put anything between the roof?" Well, let me say, Luke, thank you guys for giving us your time. You said, "Do you put anything between the roof panels and spray foam?" Just thinking about hailstorms that just came through Tyler. I heard about some storms that came through there, Luke. And so, no, currently we don't, because look, unless it would be sheathing or decking, anything else you put, you're going to lose all that. If you try to remove the roof, and so we don't have a separator because we want there to not be any condensation. So we spray the closed cell directly to the metal on the roof. Now, my immediate fix for that is if somebody did have hail damage, if it was me and I had hail damage, I would do the same thing. But because you got plenty of support, especially with the steel structure, we can actually overlay over top of that existing panel, and it would allow, we just have to remove screws to do it, but you can go back in and overlay that. Also, you could also run furring strips over top of the existing panel and have a little radiant barrier actually go in there and install something different like a standing seam, if you wanted to. So there's options when it comes to that as opposed to having to completely rip it all off. So, but I say this with the closed cell foam, it actually makes it a little more rigid
A little
and
stronger.
and a little bit stronger and protects it from the damage. I was actually up on my roof today, um, scouting things out, and we've got the closed cell foam, and it looks pretty good. I was kind of surprised.
And we've had a couple of hailstorms that haven't been like tear up. They didn't tear up the house or anything, but we definitely had some hail on this roof a couple of times.
Los Petrillo says, "Will y'all be able to share your subcontractors' information? They're outside of our radius."
Well, actually, if you're outside of our radius, then you're probably outside of theirs too, because they're kind of one of the reasons that we don't travel out further, because they're already.
Well, here's the thing. A lot of our folks work just directly for us.
And they're local, so they're going to be in that.
So it's not that we're just withholding all this business from everybody, but we do have some folks that if we were, say, doing a shell only for somebody, um, we if we're doing shell only, I've already told a lot of our clients that we're going to pass along our spray foam guy and some of those things so that they
They
could
can
have
coordinate.
access to using some of those guys, because there are some of them that will travel a little further. So the people that we're working with, we try to link them up. But as far as putting out a list of everybody that we use, no, I'm not doing that because I need all those people,
On our
and
jobs.
and we're keeping them busy. So
Veronica
but thank
Ramirez.
you for your question, and um, if you move closer, let us know. Go ahead.
So we've got a couple of people asking if we work in certain areas. So Seguin and New Braunfels and Marion, those are going to be too far. We only have a 60-mile turnkey radius from the Red Oak, Texas area. We're 20 miles south of Dallas. And we have up to the 100-mile, which we're talking about the shell option. We've got up to 100-mile, give or take. There's a little wiggle room there on the shell option, but I know that's going to still be too far. But yes, we do work in Venus, Texas, absolutely, and the Mansfield area for sure.
And I want to go back to Luke's question because him asking about these details about what's different about what we're doing. Luke, those are great questions, but that is what I'm trying to get a lot of people to do, is to really focus on, okay, what's included? What are you doing versus what is everybody else doing?
Yeah, just getting a price per square foot's not going to get you anywhere because they're going to be different
Because
things.
there's people that build in other things, but it doesn't mean that it's going to be
The same quality or
great forever.
yeah. And the area that you're building in is going to make a big difference too. Of course, we're located in the Texas area. So you guys doing a barndominium, in another state or even doing the shell option, it's going to be a different price, but you're still going to I would push for you to still want to incorporate a lot of those same building practices that
You're
we
going to
do.
hear so many different things out there because like everybody's trying to make what they do sound like it's great. Like I heard one guy saying he that, because they build a completed steel building and then they build out on the inside of it. So they're not using the zip system and all that, but he's saying that it's like tornado proof. Well, it's not. All you got is literally between your sheetrock on the inside, which is where you sleep at night, and the outside of your house. All you've got is a piece of steel tin or metal, for your sheeting. And, they put some Tyvek in between there and then your spray foam, but that's not tornado proof. I mean, you get 1 2x4 can fly straight through that. So I'd rather have, at least a piece of plywood, something behind there. Anyways,
Yeah.
there's
layers.
a lot of details that you need to ask questions,
And I don't know of anything that's tornado proof really, unless you're in a steel box.
Well, you can over engineer everything and you can go to great lengths to be protected from a tornado, but the widespread majority of people are not paying the price for tornado proof.
Right.
So that's what you got to understand. Like that the bank isn't, that's not part of a standard appraised living. But we like to hope that you're going to fare better if you got all these steel columns and all that stuff being surrounding, your structure. We'd like to think you're going to fare better, having a little bit more rigid
And you're kind of
rigidness.
the way that we build, it's basically like a double framed almost because you're going to have that steel frame and you're having it tied in with your.
Well, you can't say
wood
double
frames.
frame because
Oh,
that's
sorry.
what people do. Is they do double
Well,
frame.
we're not just
They're doing
inside of the
purlin
other.
walls and they're doing studs, but they're 2x4s, and then they're, just putting the sheeting. But again, that's not me. I don't want to build a barndominium like that. So, somebody said, "Hey, where you guys live? I swear I saw you at Gravy in Red Oak the other day."
You sure did.
You saw us there, Jeremy. So next time you're
Say
gonna
hi.
say hello. But we are in Red Oak, and we like that place.
I've
But
been a couple of times.
we were at
recently.
Javier's this morning, so
Ferris.
down in Ferris, Texas. So it's a great little area where we're at now. Red Oak. The funny thing about our city of Red Oak is they don't allow barndominiums.
Yeah, they're in the city. We've
They
built
ha-
one
they haven't
in
quite-
Red Oak, but it was county.
They haven't quite savvied up on. I don't know. I mean, to me, it's like, okay, if your city doesn't want to have more efficient homes that have less demand on your energy, like maybe you don't have the best plan. Just calling everybody out.
That's
I'm
all
just
right.
kidding.
We'll build in Red Oak County instead.
Yeah,
County limits.
we're in the county. No, we actually built one over in Red Oak. It's just right at the edge. Everybody in the city, everybody in the area really loves that Red Oak build.
Yeah, it stands out.
So
It's a beautiful home.
cool. Jeremy said he lives in Waxahachie. So we appreciate you guys joining us. We don't want to just stay on here too much longer. But if you guys have any last minute questions, we're going to answer those as we get ready to roll it up.
And
So-
for those that haven't been on here this whole time,
Say it
We
one more time.
we basically are talking about the shell option that we offer. We're going to do an engineered foundation along with the underground plumbing, the steel frame, the metal roofing, the interior wood framing with the zip system and flashing, the windows and exterior doors, and then of course we're going to finish it off with the metal panels, and or if you wanted to do stone, or if you were going to change something up on your exterior. So your complete exterior will be finished, with the exception of the garage doors, which we could coordinate, but that's just not included in the give or take $100 per square foot is what we're looking at.
Everything framed on the inside, ready to begin all of your trades with your mechanicals and all that. That's where we're stopping. So all of the exterior is 100% completely done. It doesn't include stone, fireplaces, all that kind of stuff. What it includes is all the metal panels done, covered, covered soffits, which is the under the porches as well as above the porches. All that's done, completely done. Windows installed, doors installed. It's approximately $100 a square foot is kind of where that is. So I think we've said it like 3 or 4 times through this deal.
But we also, again, have the Barndo cost calculator with the shell option and the turnkey on our linktree.com.
Which is where you want to start. And if you are in our, oh,
Your phone died.
sorry, sorry,
Sorry, TikTok.
TikTok lost
We're having
it.
all kinds of situations.
So also on, what were we saying? I lost my train of thought. Somebody says, in all the places you've built, in your opinion, what area has the best soil for foundations? Well, I will try to answer this question because she doesn't
I don't know.
She doesn't know, but we like working with like a sandy loam soil. I think it works well, which is pretty common throughout like the Mansfield, Texas, Blum, down in that area. Some of that's good soil. Rio Vista. Well, I'm trying to think. Maybe not those areas. We use a lot of select field down there is what we've used, but I would say got into some pretty good soil over in Joshua.
Godly, probably. Was it?
No.
No?
Up north areas like towards the Sherman area, up in there, Whitesboro. We had some pretty good soil up there, favorable.
Probably red dirt.
Yeah, more red dirt. Ben Wheeler, we worked out in there in the Tyler, East Texas area. There's a lot of good soil out there. Eustis, some of those areas had better soil. So now you have spurts of good soil in other areas in our region, but the can't sorry. We have good soil in other areas of our region, but it's just spotty. So you got to kind of test each one. Also down in the Buffalo area, down as you go towards a little farther south.
I have one other question over here on Instagram, Revamp Barber Studio. I have tons of questions. Do you ever plan to do a live Q&A with a viewer? I don't know if we've got that in the works or not. Probably not, but you are more than welcome to visit our website. We have a resource tab that's got all kinds of information.
Well, we wouldn't just do a live Q&A with one viewer.
Yeah, we're kind of trying to.
We do that when we do it when we're in the process of going to build with somebody. We will have more of a consultation type visit, and sometimes we use the streaming to do that. We just did that last week.
But they can also call our office. I can give you the number for that. But you can call and talk to Sydney. She's got a lot of answers to your questions potentially. If she doesn't know the answer, we can help her with that. But our office number is 469-552-8205. you want to call during office hours, Sydney can help you out with most of your questions. Revamp Barber Studio.
And I know a lot of you guys are going to be using that Barndominium. We have a funny thing in our office. If you can't say Barndominium, like,
Don't
sorry,
build one.
we can't build a Barndominium. Barndominium. And here I'm saying it wrong.
Yep.
But Barndominium, a lot of you guys are going to be using that calculator for the Barndominium calculator on our site. So just if you have any trouble with that, you can call the office and, you know, because I have seen quite a few using that tonight. So, and all day long, we get them using them. We've had thousands of people go on to get free quotes, and they can do it at their own risk.
Their own leisure, and they can do it multiple directions, multiple ways, and see what's going to work best for their budget.
Yeah, and we're constantly watching and monitoring and keeping track of our pricing, and
Try to
that
keep
gets
that
updated as well along the way. So, anyways, we hope you guys have enjoyed this. We just, like I said, we already kicked TikTok off because my phone,
We lost feed here at one point, like
yeah,
all kinds of
this has
technical
been
difficulties.
problematic, but it's been fun. So, you
I
know,
hope we were helpful.
we hope it was helpful to y'all, and we're gonna try to go get some rest and maybe something to eat. Thank you, David. He said he's used it numerous times, never received any spam calls from it. It's a great resource. Thanks, David. Yeah, that's clearly what it's for. I mean, we kept getting a lot of incoming calls, people that wanted pricing, and we're just trying to make it accessible to y'all. So that's what it's about, us trying to get that information, because it costs money to get people to answer the phones. And she did a great job, but she just couldn't keep up with all the phone calls we had coming in for a few years. And like, then we had people literally go give us bad reviews for, not calling them back right away and stuff like that, which is hard because you're a small business and you're getting so many calls. Anyways, it's just part of it, but we can't be everything to everybody because you're not getting paid, to answer the phone for everybody
Right.
that's in another state.
Which is why we're trying to do these to be able to help more people than just who's calling in. So
That's right. We help field some of y'all's questions. Hope you've enjoyed this video. I'm Josh Helm.
and I'm Brandy Helm.
We're wishing you all the best. Thanks for watching.
Texas
Texas Best.